What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another news roundup, Renegade Animation on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. I'll be your host for this afternoon. Joining me, as always, is my co-captain, Cameron.
Howdy, howdy.
And we've got a pretty healthy amount of news to cover, starting with a couple deaths, unfortunately. So, Cameron, you want to take this first one?
Yeah. So a few people passed recently, and we'll start with the one connected to Disney. Samuel Wright, who most Disney fans would know as Sebastian the Crab, who also provided the vocals to the Academy Award-winning song "Under the Sea" from The Little Mermaid, passed away at 74. And of course, he's done other things, like he was Mufasa in the Broadway version of The Lion King. And man, he was a very distinct person. And he was also Kron the iguanodon in Disney's Dinosaur. And man, that's just a bummer. Like, that still feels a little young, but
yeah.
And then today, as we are recording this, Marcel Jankovic, a famous Hungarian graphic artist, director, and animator, who was known for films like Johnny Corncob from 1973 and Son of the White Mare from 1981, passed away at the age of 79. And this one hurts because I saw his film Son of the White Mare a few years ago at Fantastic Fest here in Austin, and it was just an amazing experience to see on the big screen. Just, this guy has some of the most visually stunning animated films you can find, and unfortunately, for a while, you couldn't really find them in the US, but luckily a distributor has recently picked up Son of the White Mare and will be releasing it on Blu-ray next month. And if anybody can watch these films, like Johnny Corncob and such, I highly recommend doing so. He was inspired by the fact that the Yellow Submarine got made, and he has that kind of visual art style like to his films.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And no, that's a bummer. I was hoping one day I could meet him, but now I can't. Oh well. Then we also have the death of the acclaimed French animator and director Olivier Jean-Marie, who passed away at the age of 60, who was mostly known for shows like Augie and the Cockroaches, Space Goofs, and he also directed the Go West, a Lucky Luke adventure, which I have a review of. It's one of my earliest reviews. And while I would say I was a fan of it, he had a very distinct cartoony art style and just like way he would like make the characters move and such. It's very 90s in a way. Like, think of like the Cartoon Network era 90s and what have you. That kind of like and it's just a bummer. Some of these people keep passing away at such young ages, and I'm so bummed about that.
Same.
But let's move on to some other news. May they rest in peace. And I've been fans of a lot of these people. So for some good news, ahead of its season 2 premiere, Owl House has been renewed for a final third season, which will be split up into 3 44-minute specials. That's interesting choice, but hey, that's how they want to close it off and such.
I'm of two minds of this. On the one hand, it is unfortunate that the show has been given a short order for season 3, but the way that creator Dana Terrace has been talking about those specials, it sounds like this is sort of the compromise between between no season 3 at all and a traditional 23 episode season, which probably got cut off because of COVID-19. A lot, like the pandemic has really affected everyone everyone from a financial standpoint, which is why you're seeing so many studios like losing employees by the hundreds, even thousands. So it's probably a lack of resources that we're not getting a full the full 3.
It's a mixed bag. I would love it if Disney stopped doing the whole you only got 3 seasons kind of thing. But and if Dana wants this to be how it is, then who am I to say? I don't work on the show.
Yeah, exactly. We can only know for certain how the story is supposed to end once the story ends.
Yeah, and no, I mean, and it's also on the fact that like at least Owl House was able to get it apparently get its story complete, but with such a likable character and world and such, it would be fun to live in it a little longer than like what we're getting with the 3rd season and such.
I agree with that. If it were up to me, this show would like it would basically be the next Star Wars or Harry Potter.
On the other hand, I understand that you could run into the trap that the Venture Brothers ran into before they got that movie, where it's like you have to have at least someone in the higher ups to be on your side to keep your show going, because for a while we didn't even know if the Venture Brothers was going to get like a finale or anything. It was just okay, it's going to be incomplete. Sorry, but and then like you don't want the show to go on forever. Even if it has a few bright spots, like The Simpsons has overstayed its welcome, Family Guy has overstayed its welcome, and even if people still love Bob's Burgers, who's to say that's going to keep going on forever? Also,
right?
Like it's tough. It's a weird way to balance it, because I guess I'd rather a show be able to finish its story. But sometimes it's just like, oh, but there's so much more you could do. But, it's whatever the creator wants. I'd rather the creator have power and say, hey, I only want to do this much. But still, I love Dana Terrace, and whatever she'll make, I'll watch. So
same.
So you ready to go back to the war? The war with the sponge?
back to the battlefield.
It's like Ron Perlman says in every Fallout game. Well, almost every Fallout game. War never changes. So, Sandy Cheeks, the squirrel scientist from SpongeBob, is getting her own movie. And it's going to be a hybrid feature with animated characters in a live-action setting. It will be directed by Lisa Johnson. And apparently it's going to be made for Paramount Plus, but apparently there's very little details about it. I don't know how good a movie based off this one character can be. I think the appeal of like SpongeBob and his friends in the cast is that they work well off of one another. It's like I don't think them individually would be able to hold their own. We'll have to see how that Patrick Star spinoff does, but still.
At least with the Patrick Star spinoff, there is some potential. Sandy is, and I recognize the irony in saying this, she's a fish out of water character. So like there's nothing in this report that that tells anything about what the plot will be. Like we don't know if this is a new origin story or this is like Sandy's homecoming. Those sort of details are completely up in the air.
Right. No, it's just first impressions. This is just my reception to the news announcement. It's not I'm damning this movie to hell. No, who knows? Maybe the movie will be good, but we'll have to see how that goes. So, speaking of movies and streaming services, Boss Baby 2, Family Business, will be moving again, but back in time back from its September release date, because it will be in theaters and on Peacock July 2nd.
There's a bigger story surrounding this, and it's the fact that Peacock is basically riding the coattails of what Disney and Warner Brothers have been doing with their respective streaming services.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think it's kind of amusing that that this is happening after Trolls World Tour caused a big commotion between NATO and Universal, and now they're totally cool with what they want to do here.
Yeah, no, I'm wondering what happened. Like, what made them say, okay, fine, you can do it this one time or something. Kind of wish they were doing that with Spirit, but I'm sure Spirit came out and they were like, well, it's coming out like next week maybe as we're recording this. I forgot.
Its release date in theaters is June 4th.
Okay then. So yeah, very soon then. I'm I guess because I feel like Spirit would do better on a streaming service than Boss Baby, but I don't know. Maybe they think that Boss Baby 2 will be like better. Like we'll have legs in theaters. I wonder if this is also like a desperate ploy or something. Like I wonder if Peacock's not doing well.
I don't know the exact analytics, and we can look those up later. But
Yeah,
from what I gather, this is like this has to be some sort of incentive to get people to subscribe to the service. Even though majority of its subscribers probably are doing so through Comcast.
right. Well, if it's playing at my theater, I'm gonna go see it in the theater. I'm not paying for another service. So Netflix in June, from June 7th to 11th, will be having their own Netflix Geeked, like a Geek Week, where they will be showing off bits and pieces or like stuff for like Masters of the Universe, Revelation, The Witcher, The Sandman adaptation, Lucifer, The Umbrella Academy, and The Cuphead Show. And apparently Resident Evil, Sweet Tooth, Cowboy Bebop, and other things. So, I mean, you and I could be total hipsters and be like, oh, well, we saw a work in progress of Cuphead last year at Annecy, so we got to see it before all of y'all. We're better that way. No, I'm kidding, of course. I don't think about that. But we did see a preview of it last year, and I can't wait for more people. Like, honestly, I'd rather more people be able to see behind the scenes stuff or sneak peeks of what's getting made in animation than not at all.
I agree. I feel sort of the opposite of jealous that I am jealous that other people are only getting to see Cuphead footage for the first time, whereas we have our like you pointed out, we have already seen like a little bit of behind the scenes.
Yeah, no, I wonder if they're going to show the same stuff or if it's going to be new footage. Because I don't know how many people actually did the Annecy Online thing, but I'm sure a lot of people paid the ticket to see whatever previews they could. Like for, we saw Close Enough before it came out. We saw Cuphead. We saw a little bit of the Mitchells versus the Machines. And we'll have to see how this goes. I'm curious to see how they handle all of this, but I'm excited.
One thing I really want to see is I want to see another trailer for Master of the Universe.
Have we seen one yet?
I think we might have seen a teaser.
Oh, we might have seen. We saw the first images. I know, but maybe I don't know. But yeah, no, I'd like to see some actual animation with it because I want to see how these characters move, and I wonder if Hasbro putting the bill up with Netflix helps make the animation a little more fluid and such. But we'll have to see. So HBO Max and Cartoon Network are making some more superhero stuff. If you thought they were going to make a superhero show based off of The Flash or The Question, I wish. But of course, they're making a new Batman cartoon called Batman Caped Crusader. And so it sounds like it's going to be a more adult take on like the Batman, the animated series, because it's also apparently based off of Bruce Timm's iteration. So what do you think about this one?
So I think a couple episodes back, or maybe a few months ago, we talked about a rumor that HBO Max was developing a follow-up to Bruce Timm's Batman the Animated Series. And I'm wondering if this is what the rumors were talking about. There is a little bit of there is a little bit of crossover where Bruce Timm is involved in whatever this project turns out to be. And the fact that J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves are involved it's a promising sign that Abrams and Bad Robot are like fully invested in in Warner Media for the next however many years, and two, that they really like what Matt Reeves is doing on the big screen, and they want to stay in that business for a while.
Right. Nah, make them happy, WB, and you better, because apparently you're about to get bought by Discovery. So we'll have to see what happens there. But from the teaser image, I really like this look of Batman. I like the pointed ears more. Like,
Yeah,
I'm glad
this
they're not. I'm glad they're not trying to do a like a version of like the Batman, or try to just keep it as the animated series incarnation.
yeah, and this image is really a callback to, you know, the early incarnation of Batman. I think most people who haven't read those like early comics are probably familiar with a short that came out a few years ago that Bruce Timm did called, like, I think Shadow of the Bat.
Mm-hmm. No, I wonder how if they're going to base this off of the early incarnation of the Bat, like his first form. I wonder if Batman's going to use a gun, because I think a lot of people forget about that. They're like, Batman doesn't kill people. Better not tell his old 50s 60s version of himself that. But I mean, I doubt it, but we'll have to see it since it's going to HBO Max and such. And on top of that, we have My Adventures with Superman. And it's going to be it's going to be with Superman when he's younger, in his 20s. So where Superman catches up with 20-something Clark Kent, the bride and driven Lois Lane, and their best friend Jimmy Olsen, as they begin to discover who they are and everything that they can accomplish together as an investigative reporting team at the Daily Planet. And Amy Friedman was the one who announced this. And so here we go. In this serialized coming-of-age story, we follow Clark as he builds his secret Superman identity and embraces his role as the hero of Metropolis and perhaps the world. Now, Lois, now growing into a star investigative journalist, takes aspiring photographer Jimmy Olsen under her wing. All the while, Clark and Lois are falling in love, sharing adventures, taking down bad guys, stumbling over secrets, and discovering what it means to be Superman and Lois Lane. So Jack Quaid and Alice Lee will be voicing Clark Kent and Lois Lane, obviously. So wouldn't that be amusing to hear? Like, they got their roles swapped. I like this first look of like the characters. I like the kind of She-Ra studio mirror avatar look, and I can't wait to see how Lois Lane is in this show. And I know some people, mostly a bunch of stupid men, are like, oh, they cut her hair short, she's more progressive, quote unquote, like that's a bad thing. And it's like, first off, Lois Lane has had a terrible time in adaptations. She's either the damsel in distress or just not interesting as a character. Here, this looks like she's way more interesting as a character, and I can't wait for that she's going to be like part of the main story and such.
I wonder if she's like the real main character, and Clark is like her almost like her sidekick. I know Superman's presence in the DC universe is larger than life, but putting the focus on Lois is something I've wanted to see in an adaptation for quite some time. Also, to anyone complaining about the way she looks, you have to remember that Lois is an army brat, so she's going to come off more tomboyish than maybe some other incarnations.
I've always liked it when Lois got leaned more into like the I'll bite back at you at society kind of character, because like I remember the cartoon from the 90s, she was kind of like that, but she still had to be the damsel and such. And then it's just like they never did enough with her. She was just there because she has to be there for Superman and such. And I love this teaser image where she says, like, it sounds like from what I could tell, it's like she's got this crazy scheme of how they're going to get this story. And Clark Kent looks like he's just mortified. He's like, oh dear Lord, what have I gotten myself into? Kind of look. And speaking of She-Ra, Josie Campbell is going to be a co-producer. And Brendan Cloker, who worked on Voltron Legendary Defenders, as a co-executive producer. And we got like Jake Wyatt, who worked on Invader Zim, Enter the Fortress, and No, this looks like a good team, and I can't wait. I want to see how this one looks in motion. So
Same.
speaking of HBO Max, they're making a Garbage Pail Kids show. It's in development, and it's going to be produced by Danny McBride's Rough House Pictures and the Tornante Company. So how do I go about this? Why Garbage Pail Kids? I think the nostalgia for them is wildly limited in their approach. The cards were very cool, very creative, and even if it was a very specific takedown and parody of Cabbage Patch Kids, which were super popular at one point, they're not just a gag and such. So, what do you think?
Honestly, you can only go up from the abomination that is the 1987 movie, which to this day still retains a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know why they chose this to adapt to a series. However, I have a little bit of confidence because of the involvement of Danny McBride and his partner David Gordon Green. For those that don't know, this is the same team behind Pineapple Express and the Halloween reboot from 2018. So there is merit, but like create like a strong creative team can only go so far.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how that goes. We're not out of the woodwork yet because the CW network has 2 animated specials coming out. In their announcement, like in this announcement that they made. One of them is called the Scooby-Doo Reunion Special, which is about so after 52 years of solving mysteries, the Scooby-Doo Reunion Special sees the Scooby Gang reunite at Warner Brothers Studios to reminisce about their favorite cases and how they were filmed. But it turns out that the backlot may have its own monster problem. Fred, Daphne, Velma, Shaggy, and Scooby-Doo investigate this mystery while celebrating the legacy of the franchise during this 1-hour special. Jonathan Stern will executive produce. And the other one, which I think you're probably going to be more excited about this than me.
Let me take this one. So, in the all-new animated 1-hour special, Beebo Saves Christmas, everyone's favorite fuzzy toy turned furry god will once again be a hero as he hopes to save Christmas. When Sprinkles, an efficiency-obsessed elf, decides that Christmas would run better without Santa Claus, Beebo and his friends travel to the North Pole to help discover what truly makes Christmas meaningful. Starring Ben Diskin as the voice of Beebo, Kimiko Glenn as the voice of Tweebo, Yvette Nicole Brown as the voice of Turbo, Keith Ferguson as the voice of Fleebo, Chris Kattan as the voice of Sprinkles, Ernie Hudson as the voice of Santa, and Victor Garber as the narrator. Now, for those that don't know, Beebo was this fictitious toy in the DC CW universe who made his appearance on Legends of Tomorrow. So this special is produced by Warner Brothers Animation, written by Matt Malla and Kevin Shinnick, and executive produced by Sam Register, Greg Berlanti, Sarah Schechter, David Madden, Phil Klemar, Grain Godfrey, Mark Guggenheim, and Kido Shimizu. Man, I am so excited that Beebo gets his own Christmas special. This is something we've all of us in the Arrowverse have joked about because Beebo is the best character. So this can only be like amazing or amazingly terrible. There is no in between.
Yeah. What do you think about the Scooby-Doo reunion thing? How do you think that's going to play out?
It can only be as good or as bad as some other Scooby-Doo movies and specials. Like what this instantly reminded me of was kind of an underrated special that not a lot of people talk about. The 1979 TV movie called Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood.
I've never heard of that one.
I saw it last year on Boomerang. It's this weird out of character story where like Shaggy and Scooby are like they're kind of fed up with their role in the mystery gang, so they kind of set off to start their own career as like in Hollywood. It's weird and it doesn't really hold up that well. Like for example, Shaggy in that special is uncharacteristically like mean towards Scooby. It's weird, but that was just my first point of reference when I heard about this reunion special. But still, as long as they have the the same voice cast as a lot of the modern incarnations, and as long as that's better than like maybe the last couple direct to video movies, then I'm sure this will be well received.
I'm a little worried that they're going to pull a Return to Zombie Island kind of thing, because that movie was trying to be like this beautiful homage to the original film that got Scooby-Doo back into pop culture, even though it came off like the writers of Return to Zombie Island did not like the fact that people still loved Zombie Island. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because then it was just like, oh, they retcon a bunch of things, and they were like, I wasn't as impressed with that journey as everyone else was. And it's like, be quiet. Like, oh man, that one rubbed me the wrong way. I still hate that special.
If it's any consolation, a lot of people didn't like that one.
I know. I think it's still considered the worst one of the bunch, and there are a ton of bad Scooby-Doo direct-to-video movies. So, Crypto the Super Dog now has a voice, because in the DC League of Super Pets film coming out in 2022, Dwayne Johnson, who is also Black Adam, is going to voice Superman's best friend. I keep forgetting this film is happening. I guess that they wanted a pretty good voice, likable voice. I mean, of course, outside of all the voice actors I can think of, I think Dwayne Johnson is a good choice. Like, if you had to go with someone.
I mean, I'm a little hard pressed to figure out who would be the best voice for Crypto, because all you really need for Crypto is that kind of like that stern like superhero, that stern like superhero straight man. But because this is an animation, you can be a little bit more playful with the material. And if you heard Dwayne Johnson's voice acting before in, like, say, Moana, yeah, I think he kind of fits that role.
He can do that. Like, to me, like, I don't know how many people remember this, but there was a Crypto the Super Dog show. Like,
I remember that series,
and I don't remember much about that show, but from what I could see from, like, when I think of Crypto, I kind of think of like like, maybe this is a very basic take, but I kind of think like the dog, like the pets are kind of like their masters. So I think like Crypto is like, he's big, he's tough when he can be, but he's also kind of doofy and kind of awkward at times. Like, has that kind of like that Superman charm, you could say. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see where they go with the manner, like the personalities and such. And this movie's going to also have Ace the Bat Hound. I didn't know Wonder Woman had a kangaroo at one point.
That one kind of threw me for a loop.
Called Jumpa. Okay. And then Supergirl's cat, Streaky the Super Cat. I wonder how many other animals they'll put in just for the sake of having like the Justice League of like superhero animals. Like, and I'm wondering if they're going at this because of The Secret Life of Pets.
It's possible,
because even though the second movie wasn't as well received or did that well, but we'll have to see. Go ahead.
One character that I would love to see make some sort of appearance, the Detective Chimp.
Oh, that would be fun. I could totally see that happening. Speaking of superheroes, they're making an Injustice movie, where you can apparently finally see an evil Superman. Okay. So if people don't know, for those who may not know, Injustice's entire plot was kicked off because the Joker killed Lois Lane, and Superman snapped and killed the Joker, and then became basically the Red Sun Superman, very tyrannical, very evil. And this isn't like the first time Superman has been evil. There are plenty of stories about that. I don't know. Like, maybe this would have been more interesting if this was released a few years ago. I don't know. What do you think about this announcement?
See, here's the thing. Even back in 2013, when the video game came out, it still wasn't a new concept. This whole "what if Superman went evil?" But it's even more kind of tiring now, because since Injustice, we've gotten adaptations of The Boys, Invincible. I haven't seen this yet, but apparently Jupiter's Legacy also kind of does a version of this story too. And there's also the movie Brightburn. So
Right.
like, even over like the last 3 years, we've kind of seen like a glut of like different variations of the story. That being said, a tie into the video game is like an Injustice kind of prequel, like a comic book series written by Tom Taylor, which actually is a very good read, and kind of like sets up the world a few years before the events of the video game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the movie was set in that universe and Tom Taylor was involved in writing this movie, then I would be more excited. But as it stands right now, I will still watch it, because I try to keep up with as much of DC's content as possible. I just have my reservations just knowing where we are now in the culture.
Yeah, like I said, it's kind of tough because we've seen a bunch of official and unofficial adaptations of what if Superman became a bloodthirsty tyrant. And yeah, like you said, we have The Boys, we have Invincible, so we'll have to see. So Seth Meyers and Josh Myers, his brother, are making a new sci-fi cartoon for Peacock called Colony 2. In Colony 2, a team of the greatest minds in science arrive on a distant planet to start mankind's first space colony, and discover that, due to advances in technology back on Earth, they're actually the second group of colonists to arrive. The erstwhile heroes of the space age must confront the question: when you've been number one your whole life, what happens when you discover you're actually number two? And guess who's going to make the animation?
Bento Box.
Listen, I don't mean to come off like we hate this studio, but they are everywhere. Give someone else a chance. I don't know, maybe they just keep bidding, like having the best bid and offer that they can do, but I don't know. And like I said in the past, Bento Box is kind of a studio that I feel like their stuff works depending on who's the team making it. Because, Duncanville is great. Bob's Burgers and Central Park are great. I haven't seen The Great North yet, but I'm sure that's going to be great.
Probably.
Hoops was not great, and Paradise PD is not great. Or I just don't like those. But I mean, I'm curious to see what a Seth Meyers animated series would be like. I know he worked on another one before for Hulu called The Awesomes, and that didn't go very far. But that was like in the early days of streaming exclusives. So
yeah, I barely remember The Awesomes like at all. But I didn't realize that his brother worked on the Mindy Project, which I've heard good things about. So if I think like I know I'm placing expectations on these people, but as long as this show is funny, because the premise actually does kind of sound amusing. As long as they deliver on the humor and like the sci-fi stuff, then yeah, I can see this show going the distance. I'm just kind of nervous because, when it comes to Bento Box, for every Bob's Burgers, there's a Brickleberry.
Yeah, that's really the case. But no, we'll have to see. If you haven't seen the Seth Meyers comedy special on Netflix, it's so funny. I highly recommend watching that one. So, Adult Swim has picked up 2 new shows, which they're finally doing. They're not just relying on 1 or 2 shows anymore to pick for their audience. They finally greenlit Smiling Friends, and because like the pilot was uploaded online and got like huge positive reaction and such. and it's by the same person who did YOLO Crystal Fantasy, which was very popular. I didn't watch it, so I don't have an opinion on it. So, and the Royal Crackers, which is about two brothers, Steb, a family man with a wife and child, and Theo Jr., a single bass guitar player trying to relive his glory days. Together, they live in their comatose father's house, waiting for him to die. He never does, so they can inherit his cracker company empire. Royal Crackers is created by Ruiz, who also served as executive producers along with Seth Cohen. The series will be produced by Titmouse and will premiere in 2022. And for those who don't know what Smiling Friends is about, Smiling Friends Incorporated is there to lend a helping hand to any city inhabitant who calls their hotline with their troubling situation. No matter how absurd, the folks at Smiling Friends will send its representatives, Cynical Charlie and star employee Pim, to save the day. I'm glad that Adult Swim seems to be branching out a little more with their animated shows, because for a while it was just like, oh, we got Mr. Pickles, and that's all we need because it keeps being shocking and people keep liking it. So we don't need to try anymore. And people come to us for the better versions of the Family Guy and American Dad episodes anyway. So I'm happy about this. So
Yeah, I watched the trailer for Smiling Friends like a while ago, and yeah, it looks fun. I don't always love the sort of juxtaposition of like, you know, the very positive like the very positive vibe with like very adult humor,
right.
but there's something about Smiling Friends that just kind of clicked for me.
Yeah, no, I'm not always down with the style of shows that Adult Swim usually makes. Like, I kind of lost interest in a lot in their style, like their in-studio style and such. But I think, I watched the pilot and something clicked about it with me. So we'll have to see how those go. But Smiling Friends is coming out this year, so that'll be good to see. So Crunchyroll and Sentai Filmworks have set a new slate of home anime releases, and I'm just going to go through these quickly because they're just the titles, and I don't want to go through all of their descriptions. And they will have subtitle and dubbed formats. So these include Noblesse, Onyx Equinox, Haikyuu to the Top, which they were already doing anyway, but still. I'm Standing on a Million Lives, Keep Your Hands Off Aizukin, which I'm super excited about that. They'll finally give it a dub, and it'll make the show super, like, much more watchable than its dense, dialogue-heavy, like, subtitles and such. Monster Girl Doctor, My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom. We'll have to talk about that one. I've heard great things. Rent a Girlfriend, Science Fell in Love, So I Tried to Prove It. I've heard good things about that. Somali and the Forest Spirit. And I've heard about this one too, and we'll have to talk about it. Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun, and which, you know, has a second season going on right now. So we'll have to check it out when it's done. I'm glad about this because I feel like a lot of streaming services are kneecapping themselves by not releasing their content on physical formats. Because why wouldn't you give that option to people? Not everyone has the money to subscribe to every single streaming service. We're getting to that point where it's just going to be cable, but for streaming.
Yeah, and I'm not going to reveal how many streaming services I personally have, but eventually it will add up.
Like, it's going to be like, oh, I cut cable to cut $100 out of my bill. Well, guess what? You now pay $100 because you have 500 million streaming services. But I'm excited about this. Like I said, I think Aizukin is going to be the most helped by getting a dub because I love that show. It's one of the best anime of last year, but its dialogue is so dense. It is a super dialogue heavy show, and it's just a lot to deal with if you are not able to fully enjoy subtitles. Because that's sometimes the case. I know Bong Joon-ho's comment is brought up a lot when someone complains about subtitles. No offense, here's a hot take. That outlook is optimistic at best because, not like I said, not everyone can enjoy subtitles. Something might hold them back, and, you know, there's more nuance to that kind of conversation than just saying, like, get over it, read the subtitles. You know?
Yeah, I mean, like, I agree with the sentiment that that Hollywood Hollywood should be more embracing of foreign films rather than appropriating them for the sake of remaking them. But on the other hand, when it comes to animation, the reason why there is such a divide between sub versus dub is most people are in defense of dubs because because they don't have to read the subtitles, they can focus more on like the craft of the animation. And it's not on our rundown, but shows that we talked about on the anime preview, like Vivi, Pretty Boys Detective Club, and a couple others are getting English dubs. And some of those titles are ones that I've been excited for more people to watch.
Yeah, no, it's like I wish Tatami Galaxy got a dub because good lord, the speed of those subtitles and how fast everyone talks is a lot to deal with. I love that show, but but I'm not trying to disparage subtitles because hey, we went through 29 anime and talked about all of them, and not all of them had dubs. And I love subtitles. I'll watch a movie in its intended format, but sometimes if there's a dub option, I'm going to take that option. So
Same.
Speaking of Netflix, they've announced 3 new animated projects from Asian American creators, which that's awesome. Jane Lee, the Netflix animation manager, said, never underestimate the power of seeing yourself on the screen. Watching my favorite cartoons growing up, I rarely saw a face or name like mine, and certainly never as the hero. But I always had a passion for animation, and now I get to reclaim the space for myself and others who deserve to see ourselves on screen. Which, yes, and representation matters. You should all know that by now, and stop getting mad about it. Anyway, one of the first projects for 2023 is The Monkey King. I know it's another Monkey King film, but hear us out. It is an action animated comedy produced by Stephen Chow, who worked on Mermaid, produced by Academy Award nominated Helene Chow, who worked on Over the Moon, and Kendra Holland, who co-produced How to Train Your Dragon 2, and is being directed by Anthony Stacchi, who was the director of the Oscar-nominated The Box Trolls. And the all-Asian voice cast includes Jimmy O Yang, Bowen Yang, Jolie Huang Rapaport, Joe Coy, Ron Huan, Hon Lee, Stephanie Su, Andrew Pang, Andrew Kashino, Jody Long, James C., and B.D. Wong. And of course, it's, based off of the famous Journey to the West story, which tells the story of a very special monkey and his magical fighting stick, who team up to fight against gods, demons, dragons, and the greatest enemy of all, the monkey's own hubris. The Monkey King has endured for generations with his unique character and spirit, noted Chow. I'm so excited to be collaborating with Tony, Paline, and everyone at Netflix to bring this joyful tale to audiences worldwide.
I know this is like the 50th Monkey King adaptation, but there's a reason the story has endured. And damn, that cast is impressive.
It's a great cast. And and I'm always down if they can make a Monkey King film that has a different perspective. I'm always down to watch those. It's not like I'm like, oh, I've seen one, I've seen them all. First of all, that's dismissive and untrue. So the second project the next two are animated series. The first one is called Boons and Curses from creator and executive producer Jaideep Hasranjani and series co-executive producer Jake Goldman. In a magical land of Maya, a cosmic war is on the horizon. The Raj and his monstrous army threaten to destroy any who stand against them. The universe itself hangs in the balance, and our only hope is 3 feet tall and made of butter. All right. Claiming to be a cursed warrior from another time, Bon may have been transformed into solid ghee, but he won't let that stop him. Teaming up with Rani, a young thief with delusions of grandeur, Bon must use every arrow in his quiver if he wants to defeat the Raj. Heavily inspired by ancient South Asia, Boons and Curses is an adventure comedy highlighting the myths and legends that have enraptured generations. Growing up, I used to think of the hyphen in Indian American as a separator between two parts of myself. With Boons and Curses, I want to turn that hyphen from a wall into a bridge. Not just for me, but for anybody who has ever felt that they were caught between two worlds, said Hajirajani. Using the beauty of South Asian mythology, folk tales, and culture, our talented and passionate crew is so eager to share an exciting and hilarious adventure that can resonate with everyone in the world over, or everyone the world over. This one sounds amusing. Like
I love the teaser image with like an angry mob of like creatures going going after our two heroes.
yeah. No, that looks super good. I can't wait for that. And then our final one, Mech Cadets for 2023 is an animated series based on the Boom Studio comic series Mech Cadet U by Greg Pak and Takeshi Miyazawa. The series is executive produced by Boom Studios, Japanese studio Polygon Pictures, and Aaron Lam, who serves as writer and executive producer of the series. 50 years in the future, after a terrifying alien species attacked our planet, teenager Stanford Yu works as a janitor at the Sky Corps Military Academy. But he's only dreamed of one thing in his entire life: to pilot a robomech, giant robots from outer space who came to our aid. When he finally gets his shot, Stanford and his classmates must put aside all personal differences and work together as a team in order to defend humanity against a new invasion of aliens. And here's what they had to say. It is important for us to create stories that exemplify our team's diverse voices and art as a studio based in Tokyo, Japan, said Jack Leong, executive producer, VP of Business and Development for Polygon Pictures. As part of our mission to do what no other has done in unparalleled quality for all the world to see and enjoy, we are ecstatic to have alongside with us our supervising director, Toru Patrick Awa, writer and executive producer, Aaron Lam, and our talented, diverse team of writers to visualize the wonderful story created by Greg Pak, Takeshi Miyazawa, and Boom Studios. We all are honored to work with Netflix and to tell a story that we hope will inspire future storytellers around the world. This one looks cool. I love the teaser image. And I mean, personally, I wish they got Studio Orange to do the CGI, but Polygon Pictures is doing pretty well. Like, if their Pacific Rim work isn't any indication, I'm down for that. So,
is Polygon also the same studio behind that new show Eden, or is that someone else?
That's someone else. But they did do those Netflix Godzilla films.
Mm.
But they aren't behind the new Netflix Godzilla series coming out, which that's by that one has two studios, but Studio Orange, the team behind Beastars and Land Illustrious, is handling the CGI for that show.
Ah, I see.
Which
Yeah, I like the teaser image for this one too. And something that I really like about Netflix is they're really leaning into like Asian representation. Like Over the Moon was a Netflix original. You know, we talk about Netflix anime pretty much ad nauseum. And then, you know, with this news, it just kind of keeps piling on.
Yeah, no, it's representation matters, and getting more unique voices tells more unique stories. And I'm going to keep championing that, even if Netflix is kind of frustrating to deal with sometimes. I love them, but you know. So for our final two trailer reactions, we're going to talk about, because Netflix released the trailer for the June 11th anime series Trese, which is based on the Philippine graphic novel created by Bujete Tan and Kajo Baldissimo. Will be 6 episodes long, and so it's set in a Manila where the mythical creatures of Philippine folklore live in hiding amongst humans. Alexandra Trese finds herself going head to head with a criminal underworld made up of malevolent supernatural beings. I will say from the trailer, I think this looks really cool. I can't wait to see the culture and how it's represented, because I know very little of it. I just know like the one vampire like version that they have that's like a floating head with organs attached, and that's only because I saw it in a short story from in one of my Hellboy books. So and Jay Olivia, you know, is showrunner and executive producer. I will say I wish it didn't look so much like a direct-to-video DC superhero film.
Yeah, I kind of see that in some of the maybe not so much the faces, but certainly like the line shading and the backgrounds. They look they look a bit on the, I don't want to say cheap side, but it's not too dissimilar from some of Jay Oliva's previous works.
And it's like because like this looks cool. I love the designs, the monsters. I love the horror elements of it all. It looks a lot darker than a lot of stuff, and I love the voice casts, like especially with the like the fact that they have an English and a Filipino voice cast. Like you have Shay Mitchell, Griffin Puatu, Matt Yang King, John Briones, Steve Blum, Carlos Alazraki, Manny Jacinto, Eric Bauza, Darren Criss, Nicole Scherzinger, Lou Diamond Phillips, Dante Bosco, and Rodney too. And then they're like you got Lisa Soberano, Simon De La Cruz, Apollo Abraham, Christopher Carlos Kaling, Eugene Adalia, Jessica Aguiluz, Christian Velarde, Brian Encarnacion, Nika Rojo, Joanne Orobia Chua, Jose Amando Santiago, Steve De La Cruz, Rene Tandak, Steffi Graf Bontongon Mola, RJ Seldron, Alivre Martin, and Stephen Bongoton for the Philippine voice cast. And I like this. I wonder if they're going to be like switching between them or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like how Blood the Last Vampire had actors do both English and Japanese. So
And
it's like
it's very interesting.
yeah, but the action looks good. I love this supernatural stuff. So it comes out the same day as Wish Dragon. I think that's interesting. So we'll have to see how that goes. And then probably the one trailer people want to hear us talk about, the Hotel Transylvania 4 Transformania trailer, which we for the the final film, and we know that Brian Hall is replacing Adam Sandler. And we also have a plot in this monstrous madcap adventure of Transformania. Drac is faced with his most terrifying task yet. When Van Helsing's mysterious invention, the Monsterfication Ray, goes haywire, Drac and his monster pals are all transformed into humans, and Johnny becomes a monster. In their new mismatched bodies, Drac stripped of his powers, and an exuberant Johnny, loving his life as a monster, must team up and race across the globe to find a cure before it's too late, and before they drive each other crazy. With the help from Mavis and the hilariously human Drac Pack, the heat is on to find a way to switch themselves back before their transformations become permanent. Well, I was a little worried about the plot, feeling a little, like we have to have some idea. And it's definitely like because they're using the same villain, or as far as we know, from the third film for this one. And I don't want to say it comes off a little direct to video sounding, but like in terms of the story. But I just love this movie's animation. I'm so impressed with how snappy and how much hard work, hopefully in good working conditions, is put into like every frame of movements for these characters. Like I love like the quick snappiness of Johnny's transformation, and to see like people were freaking out because they were like, Sony, how the heck are you doing this?
Seriously, a couple weeks ago, there were a couple still frames of Johnny's transformation, and wow, CGI has come such a long way that now like sort of like the process of like how 2D animation comes to life is almost perfectly imitated in CG, and it just looks so good.
No, I love like the little gag with the zombie getting turned back into a human and then instantly getting bitten and turned back into a zombie. And I love the little thing like when the big dog is hit with the ray and such. And it turns into like this little pug. And I love the little face. I love these designs, and I think it's very humorous to see the monsters turn into humans. Like I love that you get to the Invisible Man is no longer invisible. The mummy is now just an old pharaoh. And I love how much the werewolf looks like a dad, like a normal dad. And I love Frankenstein being good looking, though. I was kind of curious to see how they would approach that because Frankenstein's made of different body parts and such, or stitched up body parts.
Yeah, that's like the science behind that.
Who cares?
Exactly.
Like it doesn't matter. It's for a good gag, and I remember people freaking out about the Invisible Man, and like I was like, really, and then it's like, no, never mind. these are cartoon fandoms and communities. There will be defense forces for every character.
Some of it serious, some of it not.
Yeah. I love the fan bases that don't take it seriously. Like honestly. But what did you think about the trailer and like the story and such?
I think the story is kind of interesting. It does seem like this is pretty much the logical next step for a final Hotel Transylvania film. It is a little bit of a shame that Tartakovsky is not coming back to direct the film, but I'm excited to see what Jennifer Kluska and Derek Dryman are capable of in his place. And also, to be 100% transparent, if we didn't know that Adam Sandler was not voicing Drac, there's no way just from the voice we'd be able to tell. That's how damn good Brian Hull is as an impersonator.
Yeah, no, that's so impressive, and I wonder if this will like re-spark that whole debate of, you know, like, why can't voice actors be like in these major numbers and such. I will say, and they haven't really talked about this yet, Kevin James is not voicing Frankenstein. That was not his voice.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because on one hand, you still have Keegan-Michael Key, Steve Buscemi, David Spade as the werewolf, Visible Man, and Murray the Mummy. And I mean, they have everyone else, but I'm wondering if Brian Hull is also voicing Frankenstein.
Oh, that would actually be pretty interesting.
Yeah, because
one thing that nobody's talking about is like the reason why Adam Sandler is not reprising this role. Now we all kind of talk about how like a lot of people joke about how, you know, voice acting only takes like, you know, a couple hours, and like there really shouldn't be a reason why someone like Adam Sandler would be unavailable to reprise this role when he has like 50 other projects going on at once. And I have also heard nothing about any creative difference between Sandler and Tartakovsky. One possible reason that I'm thinking of is because Tartakovsky is not directing, that maybe Sandler didn't feel as comfortable with the new directors, or maybe he heard Brian Hull do an impression on his YouTube channel. He's like, you know what, this guy's pretty good. I don't think I can step down from this role and put this guy over.
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to be full on. Oh, they didn't want to pay Adam Sandler money. I don't think that's the case. Sandler doesn't need the money. It's not like they're trying to be cheap and what have you. Like I don't know. I don't think it's that cynical. It could be. I could be absolutely wrong, but only Adam Sandler is the only one who can fully comment on that.
Exactly.
But otherwise, I think it looks great. So, but that's it.
Yep. This is a standalone news roundup. Our next main episode of Renegade Animation will be a review of Demon Slayer, the entire series and the movie, with special guest Manning Franks. I am very much looking forward to finally getting a chance to see the anime that so many people are talking about.
As of right now, I'm almost done with the show, and I'm going to go watch the movie soon, so I can't wait.
But until then, Cameron, where can everyone find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at CamsEyeView. I run my own website called camseyeview.biz, where I review animated films and shows, big and small, called The Other Side of Animation. I also have a Patreon at patreon.com/camseyeview, and that's where you can find me.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at CaptainK42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can find me in all the various Facebook groups, just at my name. You can check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook, Twitter at Ren Pop Culture, and we are now on Podchaser, so look for us there. You can listen to all of our previous podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen, and everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That'll do it for this round, for this installment of the Renegade Animation News Roundup. We will catch you guys later. Peace out.
Bye.